Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple, and also we are going to be talking about Stellar, as well as we're going to be addressing XRP and XLM, the respective digital assets that these companies are utilizing. And as we really kind of look at crypto and the innovations happening around finance, it is very, very interesting to connect the dots. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking a lot about central bank payment systems, as well as the global financial system, centered on RTGS systems as well as a few projects from the BIS. And we are going to go back in time as well around a few documents from 2019, 2020, and possibly even a little older, but a lot of them are still pertaining to what's happening today. So with that in mind, let's dive into central bank payments news. This is from cbpn.currencyresearch.com. And if we scroll down, we could see the BISIH enhancing payments through innovations to central banks' payment systems. Now we do see the latest post over here. I did check out this from the BIS Innovation Hub. This is enhancing payments through innovations to central bank payment systems. I'm going to be addressing this in this video and talking a little bit about it. But if we scroll down here, this is from an advisor at the BIS Innovation Hub London Center. Technology is revolutionizing the provision of financial services. Central banks and other public authorities are identifying the opportunities this opens up, and one response has been to set up innovation functions. The BIS Innovation Hub is uniquely placed to consider this from a global perspective by experimenting with technology that can benefit central banks across the world. It has a mandate to develop technological solutions that support central banks in meeting their public good remits, and it executes this through close collaboration with private sector partners. Remember, Ripple is a private company who have deep expertise in innovative financial technology. Also, Stellar is a private company as well. Significant experimentation has been conducted by the Innovation Hub around new types of infrastructure such as central bank digital currencies. These have huge potential to improve cross-border payments. Equally as important have been the Innovation Hub's projects innovating existing financial market infrastructures as well. Central banks periodically replace or review their financial plumbing, like real-time gross settlement systems. These infrastructures will remain a part of the financial system for the foreseeable future and will need to integrate with new components and technologies. This is very interesting, especially considering the fact that we have new technologies underway. We are seeing the next generation of payment technology rising, and I do think that's all centered out on digital rails with crypto. But we do see next generation FMI project at the Innovation Hub, Project Meridian, which I have been really doing a lot of deep dives on Project Meridian for a little bit of time, and I'll tell you guys exactly why. But you see, this is a collaboration between the BIS Innovation Hub London Center and the Bank of England. Now remember, I just talked to you guys a little bit about why the Bank of England and London are two crucial ones to focus on, because London as an area, we've been seeing a lot of digital assets and digital asset companies like even Ripple making a major impact in London. But the UK as a whole also has been very adamant about becoming a crypto hub and innovating beyond the means with this technology. The Bank of England, there are so many documents around the Bank of England with, crypto assets, specifically XRP and XLM, sits within a group of projects that seek to explore how to enhance traditional infrastructures as they are refreshed or replaced to meet the evolving demands of financial services consumers and to remain performant. Project Meridian explores how to automatically execute complex transactions by digitally interlinking an RTGS system with other asset ledgers. The change in ownership of funds is made conditional on the change in ownership of an asset or other funds, and vice versa, by introducing a new entity, a synchronization operator, at the center of the transaction. So let's look into this. Here's the BIS. This is Project Meridian, innovating transactions with synchronization. If you guys want to go and check out the full PDF file, you are more than welcome to look up this specific project on the BIS's website and look through this. It's very interesting, but we even do see, like, under technology findings here, they are talking about use of a DLT network to orchestrate settlement. We know around DLT, instant settlement has been achieved. There's a lot of great things tied behind DLT technology as well. And I really do think that as we look at the real-time gross settlement systems, they are being completely restructured And I think that it's going to be through DLT technology because we see it on every single major document, specifically from the BIS, from the World Economic Forum, from the IMF, you name it, right? But nonetheless, we do see over here that this got posted on April 19th. And we do see that this project investigates how recent rapid advances in financial technology could deliver innovations in the real-time gross settlement systems operated by central banks. Within this, synchronization is the key. So synchronization is achieved by the introduction of a new entity called a synchronization operator. This operator would interlink RTGS systems with other financial market infrastructures, FMIs, and ledgers, automatically orchestrating the exchange and ownership of funds and assets. The operator does not hold the funds or assets on its own balance sheet. The Meridian prototype develops a synchronization network using DLT. The prototype demonstrates how a DLT network could connect to the conventional centralized systems used by participants in a transaction, including the RTGS operator, using open standard application programming interfaces, APIs. The API messages exchanged between financial institutions use existing global standards for payment messages, namely ISO 20022. A relatively simple generic interface gives a synchronization operator a high degree of control over the movement of central bank money and an asset in a transaction. This enables the synchronized settlement of funds and an asset. And here you guys have the overall breakdown of this. You have the asset ledger, the operator, the end user, the buyer's bank, the RTGS system, and even the seller's bank down here. This is talking about, the end user, 1, 2, 3. You could even you could look at either side of this, like the RTGS or the asset ledger, and then 4 and then 5. When you see settlement service, to start a transaction, the end users appoint a synchronized operator. Or synchronization operator. Buyer commits funds. The buyer's funds are reserved in their commercial bank account for a transaction by applying a hold. Funds reserved to reserve funds for settlement. An earmark is placed on them in the RTGS system. This can last for a short time and approval is needed before they are placed. Settlement finality occurs when the operator instructs funds to move from the account of the buyer's bank to that of the seller's bank in the RTGS system. In central bank money, the asset simultaneously changes ownership. Balances updated. The buyer and seller's bank accounts balances are updated when settlement finality is achieved. Post-settlement, end users receive confirmation that the transaction has been completed. Now, why am I, focused on this project so much? Well, first off, we know that the Bank of England, going all the way back to June of 2019, said update on synchronization engagement, RTGS renewal program. And if we scroll down, we can see update on synchronization engagement. In August of 2018, the bank published a call for interest on delivering proposed synchronization or synchronized settlement functionality as part of the RTGS renewal program. We wanted to understand what demand exists in the market for synchronization in sterling central bank money and to assess in more detail the potential associated design implications for the renewed RTGS service. Earlier in 2019, we hosted 2 workshops to bring interested parties together to explore these topics in more detail. This document summarizes the outputs from those engagement activities and highlights our next steps. So here we have synchronization. What do they mean? Atomic settlement. You probably heard of atomic settlement. That is what is at the heart of synchronization. Oh, also, as we do look at atomic settlement, that has been a crucial thing that we focused on with XRP. This means that the transfer of 2 or more assets is linked in such a way to ensure that the transfer of one asset occurs if and only if the transfer of the other asset or group of assets also occurs. Remember what we said? Once you see atomic settlement of 2 CBDCs in a transaction, it's game over. Because once we do see that, well, guess what? That puts everything in motion for a global rollout of CBDCs. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, by the way. It's going to take some time, but we do see synchronization functionality could enable the settlement of a payment in sterling central bank money to be coordinated with the transfer of 1 or more other assets. The other assets could either be another payment in sterling central bank money, funds on another payments ledger, such as an RTGS service in another currency, or an asset recorded on an external asset ledger. And when we look at who they heard from, this is all centered out on major players around fintechs, technology providers, other non-bank PSPs, banks, and other financial institutions. Now check this out. Is there a demand for synchronization? Our engagement suggested that there would be a strong demand for synchronization functionality. Firms describe several benefits that synchronization could bring across a range of different use cases, including removing intraday exposure in securities markets where convention sees ownership of an asset transferred at a different time to the settlement of funds, addressing some of the current problems associated with housing transactions by helping facilitate a more streamlined and automated payment process. This could include removing the need for intermediaries, which has been Ripple's goal, to hold funds and instead enabling them to be moved directly from the buyer to the relevant party, completely removing Nostra Vostra accounts. And it could also allow all payments associated with a single housing transaction, for example, stamp duty, fees due to conveyancers, the payment from the buyer to the seller to happen at the same time. This could improve the moving day process by bringing greater time certainty and reducing risk and delays, reducing liquidity inefficiencies associated with corporate actions by reducing or removing the requirement to pre-fund and instead allowing the earmarking and also coordinated release of funds to facilitate the settlement. Where did you hear these benefits from? Oh yeah, that's right. From Ripple for years and years and years, allowing firms to include payment and settlement services in emerging innovative solutions to other industry problems. We heard from several firms with products that solved previous challenges. For example, in the transfer and validation of data across borders, they thought the synchronization could allow them to offer an end-to-end solution, reducing some of the frictions associated with cross-border payments by allowing a new way for providers to access payment versus payment settlement in central bank money. And again, as we look at what's happening around this, this is a full-on revolution to the RTGS system. Every single global giant is on an RTGS system. It's been a thing for years and years now. I mean, it goes back decades. So, by bringing an upgrade to an RTGS system itself or its actual service, this would ultimately bring in all of those efficiencies up here. But who did they hear from? Who are these companies? Well, if you scroll down at the bottom here, these are all the firms that they engaged with. And who do you see at the bottom there? Ripple Labs. There's a ton of other companies here as well. You can see some of the major players, Santander. You can even see Ripple, partners here. R3 is on here. There's so many large names. Swift, obviously. I didn't see Stellar. Stellar's not on this one, but we do know that XLM is more so for P2P payments anyways. It's not mainly for B2B, but that's from my perspective on how I look at Stellar. But who knows what's really going on with Stellar itself, because when we look at a lot of the documents, XRP and XLM are still included around central bank money anyways. So, to me, I think that these two will most likely be utilized even for B2B as well, which there is so much money tied to B2B anyways. So it's not really a major concern to me if one of them gets all the money or anything, which I highly doubt that is going to be the case. So this is more of a collaborative effort anyways. But this is going to be very interesting. And, again, this does sound exactly like what Ripple has been doing for so long. The craziest thing about all of this, though, is that if you go back to the RTGS renewal program, which I just included in a video the other day that I recorded, you see here, enable private sector innovation. Within the RTGS renewal program, the bank's focus has been to develop our roadmap for ongoing improvements to the RTGS service, in line with industry feedback and incorporating elements from previous proofs of concept and also experiments. These have included DLT Proof of Concept, a project to explore and demonstrate basic functions of wholesale settlement using DLT. The bank built on this work via a second exercise working with Baton Systems, Clearmatic Technologies, R3, and Token to ensure our renewed RTGS service could connect with systems based on DLT and other innovative technologies. Cross-border synchronization. The key to it all, atomic settlement. A joint project with Ripple demonstrating that synchronized FX transactions in two different simulated RTGS systems can be achieved, leading to the incorporation of synchronization functionality into the roadmap for renewal. They literally are looking into Ripple for cross-border synchronization. Then going all the way back to 2019, here we have the ECB, the European Central Bank, Bank of Japan, which I'll get to here in a second as well. Here we have synchronized cross-border payments. Stella, joint research project of the European Central Bank and the Bank of Japan. When we look into this, we have Ripple here, selected private sector initiatives. So first off, we have Interledger Protocol, which we've talked about many times in the past. Then we have Ripple. Then you also have Swift here as well. But Ripple has developed Xcurrent, which connects financial institutions. It got rebranded, yes. via a global network of participating entities, RippleNet. Xcurrent is built around ILP and enables bi-directional communication between participating entities and coordination of payments across ledgers. And if we scroll down here, so let me go all the way down. Sorry, 1 second. Here you guys go. I didn't want to waste your time, but here you guys have main results of the joint analysis of Stellar Phase 3. Now, mind you, this was 2019. Stellar Phase 3 explores innovative solutions to improve cross-border payments. See stylized payment chain in Figure 3. Here you have Figure 3, which is talking about multi-ledger technology. And you have the connectors here. Again, going all the way back to Project Meridian. You know, this view here is a little bit different around like an operator with the RTGS system and stuff like that. I'm not trying to compare these two, but it's a little bit of a different viewpoint from 2019 to now. But nonetheless, within this, they still talk about that the protocol for interledger payments. The interledger protocol for the longest time has been this idea around like this ledger agnostic protocol that synchronizes payments across different types of ledgers. This has been a thing forever, since going all the way back to even 2017, 2016, 2015. So if we look here, like Ripple is still included on almost every single one of these documents. And when we look down here as well, like this is from, so this was at the Bank of Japan and the ECB around security settlement systems, delivery versus payment in DLT or distributed ledger environment, talking about DLT ledgers and even centralized ledgers around trust lines and things like that. A lot of this is talking about how we can get liquidity sources and liquidity management. They even do talk about third-party escrow, which is conceptually similar to the on-ledger escrow, but relies on a third party which is trusted by the player. Now, if we go over here, we could see the European Central Bank, the Euro system, and the Bank of Japan. Within this, we see Ripple, as well as the Interledger Protocol, which we've talked about many times in the past, mentioned multiple times here, right next to SWIFT. Selected private sector initiatives. That's what I meant. Like, pay attention to those that are the private sector initiatives, the private companies that are tied to all of this. Ripple has developed Xcurrent, which connects financial institutions via a global network of participating entities. Xcurrent is built around the Interledger Protocol and enables bidirectional communication between participating entities and coordination of payments across ledgers. Now, recently, we just seen this from the Bank of Japan, actually. Central Bank Digital Currency Experiments results and findings from Proof of Concept Phase 2. Payment and Settlement Systems Department. This got posted in May of 2023. And if we scroll down here, we can see DLT being mentioned the entire time around these CBDC systems. The external systems that may connect with CBDC systems could be based on not only existing technologies, but also new ones, such as DLT. Many CBDC experiments by other central banks have dealt with the connection between CBDC systems and DLT platforms with an eye towards asset tokenization, in which assets are tokenized and distributed via a DLT-based platform. Therefore, this POC explored the exchange of CBDC and assets on DLT platforms, referring to the existing examples of delivery versus payment (DVP), simultaneous settlement of securities and funds, and payment versus payment (PVP), simultaneous multi-currency payment settlements. We assumed a linkage processing in which the assets to be exchanged are reserved once in each system, and the final exchange is performed after they are successfully reserved in both systems, thereby providing escrow. But the question is, how are they going to bridge all this? Like, we're going into a multi-currency payment world. We're going into a multi-ledger world. We are going into a world where there's going to be assets tokenized of value. How are we going to settle all of these things? How are we going to transact in all of these things? Like, what is going to be the case around this? I can tell you, they're going to be utilizing DLT. They're going to be utilizing crypto. And we know of an asset that could bridge all of it. We know of an asset, and it's called XRP. And what's crazy about all of this is that I recently seen a video posted by Crypto Airy. And it was actually James Wallace. He was talking about Ripple's expertise lies in XRP for payments and commercial central bank money is integral to the Internet of Value. Full suit based on XRP Ledger, 90% of countries focus on efficient cross-border payments. Cross-border is key in every project. Seamless digital asset transfer between chains is essential. Listen closely.
We've sort of positioned ourselves to have a full platform. So, we're not just supplying a ledger. We're not just supplying, a payments element. We actually have this full suite. We're calling it the Ripple CBDC platform. what we call a full stack solution. So it has everything that the central bank and commercial banks need to manage and issue CBDCs. So there's something called the issuer, which is where you do the minting and the distribution of the CBDC. Next module is the operator. So that enables you to manage the currency, perform payments and so forth. Then there's the core ledger. The ledger is sort of the fundamental technology behind it. And we've based our CBDC ledger on the public XRP ledger, which was built, primarily for payments, very fast, low cost, very sustainable. And then you have wallets, the user wallets behind it. There's a lot of reasons why CBDC is of interest. I think over 90% of countries now have got some work going on in the CBDC space. And there are different motivations. One of the core ones is payments efficiency. So if you think about our core businesses, we have the RippleNet, which is a cross-border payments network. As I mentioned earlier, cross-border is a big topic for central banks. So we see huge efficiencies that can be made, addressing the frictions and high costs with cross-border payments today. So CBDC will be part of that as one of the digital currencies used for cross-border. It's very interesting. You'd think CBDC would be a sort of sovereign topic, right? A central bank that's part of the government, related to the government in a country. But without exception, every project we're involved in has got cross-border payments as one of the top topics that they want to improve. Now, whether that's remittances or trade flows, lots of different reasons. Think about a lot of the innovation that's going on around digital payments of different sorts. The technology has to work, right? You have to be able to take an asset from one chain to another. You have to think about how that does. So the whole area of interoperability is one of the top topics that we always ask questions about. Like the CBDC, and the basic ability to do a payment and settle in a digital way is what's going to be needed to help these other Web3 applications come to reality. So that's I think the net answer of why CBDC is so important to us. The Internet of Value is going to have central bank money as part of it, and we want to be a facilitator of that. We're builders, and we want to make sure that we can help the central banks and the private sector collaborate so that we can start moving further towards this Internet of Value vision.
And this is all centered out on their path. Like everything tied to this goes back to the ledger. The XRP ledger has been formulated, designed for payments. It's crucial. It's crucial in Ripple's flow of things, especially around CBDCs. Ripple has been doing this for well over a decade. The XRP ledger has been around for well over a decade. And it's crucial for all of this. It's crucial for all of this. And, as we do look at all these PDF files, as we do look at every single document, we know Ripple has been tied to almost all of this since day one. And now we are seeing over here, like even from the BIS, talking about, Project Meridian, talking about the RTGS system and settling, central bank money. How can we settle this? How can we have that synchronization of settlement around a wide range of assets? It's so simple. It's so simple. When you look at what XRP has been doing, or I shouldn't say XRP, when you look at what Ripple has been doing utilizing XRP, it becomes so clear on what they could utilize here. And even if we look at like synchronization using central bank money could reduce the time, cost, and risk of transactions. It eliminates the risk of a counterparty failing to hand over ownership of an asset, settlement risk. It could also reduce liquidity costs by cutting the amount of time that assets need to be reserved for a specific transaction. But you still need settlement of the CBDCs. Central banks can use the findings from this project to inform considerations on whether to implement synchronization in their RTGS systems, which, from what we've seen, they want to do that. And you can see what's like the overall other assets around all of this. Like it's going to be tokenization, tokenized assets. You're going to see stable coins, CBDCs. I mean, you name it. And you're going to need something that can settle all of these assets, all of these things of value. And the technology that they're looking at is all DLT based. It's all based on DLT networks. Technology findings, the Meridian prototype demonstrates that synchronized settlement can be achieved between RTGS systems and other ledger RTGS systems. and other ledgers. RTGS systems need to support earmarking and simultaneous movement of specified funds. The solution and data standards that achieve this have the potential to support innovation and to use a DLT-based network to orchestrate the change in ownership of funds in an RTGS system and of the assets. Section 5.2, although in practice, synchronization operators could develop non-DLT-based solutions as well, which technically, yes, they can, but why would they, right? Like, we already have this technology here. It's already proven to work. You know, it's tried, it's tested, it's already in use today by a few players. You know, to me personally, I think that we are getting closer and closer to finally getting, you know, this major stepping stone where DLT finally becomes an intricate part of the financial system. And we even see here like G20 roadmap for improved cross-border payments. Like, it's all centered out on cross-border payments, and Ripple has been around forever, focusing on cross-border payment technology centered around settlement, you know, the speed, cost, transparency, all of that. And, you know, I finally think that things are kind of aligning perfectly with the Ripple focus. And I even said over on Twitter as well, I said, you know, so let me get this straight. XRP and XLM are the only two digital currencies mentioned, on IMF, BIS, World Economic Forum, central banks, and government documents for modernization of payments. Almost all documents mention DLT and streamlining payment technology for faster payments. Rapid payments demand rapid settlement. What companies have been, you know, expanding rapidly and have been focused on these issues for over a decade? I'm hyper focused on what Ripple and Stellar is doing. We are witnessing the rise of third generation payment technology. And yes, we are. And when you look at the top 100 cross-border payment technologies, like, look at this. The only three crypto projects mentioned are Circle, Ripple, and Stellar. It's wild. It's absolutely wild that, you know, we're seeing this innovation. And by the way, what's crazy about all of this is most of the names on this list are partners of Ripple's and even Stellar. Like MoneyGram, for an example, Stellar partner. Travelex Bank, Ripple partner. MFS Africa, Ripple partner. Neum, I think Neum's actually partnered with both of them. There's so many partners on this list that are combining the potential and the power of what Ripple and Stellar are doing, yet no one is awake, and no one is actually seeing the realization here. Like, to me personally, I think that this is so big, and I think that, yes, it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time, but, you know, it's worth the wait, because what we are seeing is an entire new generation of payment technology rising, and it's going to restructure the RTGS systems, which is utilized by every single major entity out there. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know that it was a little lengthy, but I do appreciate all of them, but I do appreciate all of you guys for sticking it out. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely hit that like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. This is up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are on this beautiful world. It's been Nick. Peace out, guys.